Awesome. And so we just announced the giveaway or the incentive that we're going to be putting out in June, but I felt like there's no better way than having my good friend Jamie Chirio just last year became an integrity partner, a two-time Hall of Fame producer, an agency owner of Living Hope on our call. Jamie, thank you so much for having us. It's a pleasure. I think it's the first time, way overdue, because you are so close to my heart. Every time I'm at a convention or any like leadership group, I find Jamie and he's my guy. And so it's a pleasure having you on our call, man. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to be here. Prime Group is lit. I love what y'all are doing. This is fun.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you, man. Well, I want to get started because some of us are actually pretty new. I almost feel like a lot of us that have been here know you pretty well. The highlight that I've been telling people is the story that you were, but I want you to say it. But you come from a background of having a business, having it go up and down, maybe doing a multitude of businesses, and coming from a lot of debt into making this business work, which is honestly the first step I find really hard. So a lot of people feel like, oh, I need $2,000, $5,000 for the business to get going. That's one, but I want to hear your general story first, so that way that we can break it down and unbox a little bit better.
Yeah, 100%. So I have been here with Family First Life for I think next month will be 4 years, which is wild to see how fast that time has passed. I've been in business now for 12 years. In 12 years, I have been a part of or started and failed or done well, roller coaster, 9 different businesses in 12 years. So I used to get really upset when like I didn't figure out how to retire like 2 years into a business. And then I kind of realized I've never been in one business for 10 years. So that's kind of like my new barometer. Like, can I just be in one business for 10 years? I mean, I can have multiple businesses, but can I do one thing? I've never done one thing for 10 years. I've done a lot of things over the course of a decade. I've made, good money, lost money, gone really far into debt, had to fight my way out of it. And I've had, multiple chapters, just inside of the insurance industry that I could talk about. But when I was like 18 years old, 19 maybe, I was going to school full time at Michigan State, and I was working at Taco Bell, making tacos for drunk people. And I met a guy back in the day who stood on a table in a dorm room and told me we were going to be millionaires. And we got into an industry called network marketing, on a real basic level, direct sales. My first experience in sales in general, and did that business for probably 5 years. And it was hard, a lot of rejection. But over the course of 5 years, we built a team of probably like 30,000 people, which is wild. And 98% of them weren't making any money. So that's the kind of the wild thing about that industry. I love that industry. It helped me come up, but the insurance industry is such a different thing where you can have 50 agents and become a millionaire. Like, that's just insane to me. We had people who had, when we had 30,000 agents and we weren't millionaires, which is just wild. So we were selling energy drinks, telling people that if they drank them, they wouldn't be hungover the next day. And we built teams all over the country. I got to travel the world at a really young age, probably like 45 states by the time that I was like 20. Got to go to 7 different countries with that business, slanging energy drinks all around the world, all across Europe. So it was a lot of fun. And that business, unfortunately, that was the company I thought that I was going to be bringing my grandkids to the convention, was planning long term, like that was my legacy. And then that company one day, they got shut down. Our owner called us and basically said the men in black came to their office and, seized all their hard drives and shut down the company and locked the doors and locked the finances. And we got a phone call saying none of your commissions are paying out tomorrow. So you got to imagine, I'm making, good money. And when you're making good money, when you're 19, 20, 21 years old, what do? You spend it. My dad was a truck driver, is a truck driver. My mom, worked in school systems, and she works in financial aid now, but nobody ever taught me about money other than just like, hey, save it. Hey, make an extra car payment, like that kind of stuff that like most parents teach you. But no one ever in my family had been 1099 or commission-based sales. So I basically spent everything that I had. I lived in, I just kept leveling up every single year. When it all kind of fell apart, I had like a $3,000 a month lofted apartment, which like 3,000 a month right now in 2024 isn't that much, but like back then in 2012, like that was a big deal. That was like 6, 7 grand a month with inflation at this point, with how much things have gone up. So I was way living outside of my means. Had the $1,000 a month BMW, like had all that stuff. If it was under $100, it wasn't real to me. I was just like, oh, the money's coming back next week, doesn't matter. And when the money stopped coming, it was like, oh crap, here we go. So now, panic mode sets in and we need to find a new opportunity. And we jump from one company to another company. And when you jump companies, 60+% of your team doesn't come with you because they don't want to go for that ride. So, immediately we decreased our team by 2/3 and we were in a company for a year. It was a lot of fun, but ultimately, there was some politics, didn't work out. So then decided to try to start my own network marketing company, did it in the travel space with a buddy of mine. We started a company from scratch, had a company out in Utah become our parent company, and we built a huge organization, couple thousand people. And then the parent organization went bankrupt. So like a lot of things that were totally like out of my control. And like throughout this entire journey, I'm like kind of like hurting people from like one opportunity to the next, like trying to preserve my income. And kind of through this whole process, had a lot of debt, a lot of liabilities. I was trying to, continue to fake it, and, didn't want to lose my BMW, didn't want to give up the things. But, most of the time it was like I was just getting further and further into the hole. Through that whole process, we're making marketing materials for ourselves, like in all of those things. We were making videos, had a YouTube channel. So we're like, okay, well, what if we, started, charging people for marketing materials? And we started a digital marketing business. And when I got my first taste of traditional business, I was like, I'm never going back to building a sales team again. This is it. I'm going to go build, a 7-figure business and I'm going to sell it. That's the goal. Like I'm going to exit and I'm going to retire. And I learned this whole concept of outsourcing and becoming the middleman. So pretty much as a digital marketing business, you can become a professional middleman, get paid a lot of money and do nothing. But middlemen eventually get cut out when people find out what you're doing. So I'd go to a business and I'd say, hey, you need a new website, $10,000. I'd go on Upwork and I'd find someone to do it for $1,000 and then we'd make 9,000. So we did that kind of stuff pretty much all the time, all day. It was a stressful life because we still had high bills, still had high expenses. I had 4 business partners, 4 employees, and we were constantly just swinging for home runs. It's just every single time that we needed to pay our bills, we'd go swing for a home run, go find some business that had money that would pay us. And then we'd find someone to do the work for really cheap. So you can imagine if the work was really cheap, the quality was pretty cheap. So they didn't keep us on. So we're constantly trying to find new high ticket clients. And just the business was a whirlwind. It was a 7-figure business. It was awesome. But when it was all said and done, I was working 100 hours a week. I was operating the thing. I was the operations guy. And after everything was all said and done, I was able to pay myself $2,000 a month. So paying myself $2,000 a month,
Yeah.
50+ thousand dollars in debt to the IRS, all kinds of things. I ended up filing bankruptcy in 2017, was able to, get out from underwater of a really crazy car payment where I was way, 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 over leveraged there and, just pay off some different things. So bankruptcy was a very humbling thing. Had all my stuff, repossessed and taken from me in front of my friends and family, but it, kind of brought me back to level. It brought me back to square. And it was something I didn't even tell people about. Like I filed bankruptcy in 2017. I don't think the world knew that I filed bankruptcy until like 2020. So I was pretty
Yeah.
secretive about it. Met my wife in 2019 and moved out to Oregon and lived the farm life for a while on her family's farm. And she was a teacher making really good income, Pacific Northwest, cost of living so high, so teachers make good money. So we took her income plus, my income. We were making 6 figures. And I was like, okay, life is good. And I started to come to the conclusion, like, okay, I could probably do like this, like stay-at-home dad thing. And like she can work full time and I'll be a house husband. And like nothing wrong if that's your life and like that's what you guys want to do. But that was never like what I set out to do originally. Like I didn't want to be a house husband, but I was like coming to the conclusion, like, okay, being a house husband could be fine. Like I'll do the dishes and I'll do the laundry and I'll make sure I'll pick you up from school and I'll do all the things. And did that for a while. And then pandemic hit. I know we're not supposed to talk about the pandemic, but whatever, the world changed. And she lost her job and we lost an income. And kind of at the same time, I was just getting reconnected with Grady Polson, FFL America, one of my oldest friends. I've known him now for probably 12 years. We came up selling energy drinks together. And he's like, dude, you would crush it at sales. I'm like, dude, I don't want to be on a sales team. I don't want to lead a sales team. I'm good. There's too much drama with that. And he's like, okay, come work for me. So I came in and I worked for Grady as his marketing coordinator, made recognition images, all the stuff that you guys saw, on the announcements of the calls. I was working Canva all day, helping him with a bunch of recruiting campaigns, and did that for probably about 6-7 months. And then I think that's when my wife lost her job, was when I was working for Grady. And then it was like at a point where, number one, I had made one too many recognition images. I was like, all these people were like helping 2 families, 5 families, 7 families, 10 families. And it was like, man, none of these people, are any better than me. So like, why can't I do it too? But then I was still like, no, I'm comfortable. But then I was like kind of forced into it. And Grady's like, okay, you're one of my oldest friends. I'm just going to kind of straight talk you. Like, it's time. Like, your family's about to go underwater if you don't get your insurance license. So like, okay. He's like, you're going to do it as fast as possible. So I got my insurance license in 6 days. I went for it. I studied, passed the exam, got a 71%. You don't need a 90, passed by 1%, and got my insurance license. And then I forgot everything on the insurance exam and learned how to sell insurance. So if you're anybody who's on here who's like still studying, just get through it. It's almost over, and you can have it be done in like the next 7 to 10 days. And then as long as you don't launder money, you don't offer any rebates, you don't do anything illegal, like pretty much just forget everything you learned. All the health insurance stuff, for the most part, out the window. And then you get to come here and learn the fun part, which is how to talk to people. So I got in, I zoomed through boot camp as fast as I possibly could. And at the time, we were still selling insurance in person. So I went out and bought some Facebook final expense leads. My wife and I, we had a budget. We said, okay, we're going to spend $1,500. We're going to take $1,500 out of our shared account, which, like, for being honest, like, Katie earned all that money for the most part. So I was like, all right, babe, can we put $1,500 into this business? She said, yeah.
Oh,
Like, I believe
yeah.
in you. So we took $1,500. We put it into a new checking account that was separate from our personal checking, opened up a new savings account, all that stuff, kept everything completely separate, made our first lead purchase. And I went to work and I started dialing the phone, setting appointments to go out in person, helping people. And it was rough. It was rough, but I knew that I had to make it happen. So I booked some not so solid appointments. I booked some great appointments. I got no showed probably more than half the time, but I went out and somehow, helped a few families. And I took that money and I reinvested it back into our bit. First, I took the original 1,500 and put it back in our shared account. And then now I played with house money. I played with the money that I made from the business. And that's the only money I've ever put into this business. So anybody who was at the Ignite conference, I always talk about other businesses. I've got friends who didn't want to do the insurance business because they're like, oh, dude, I do crypto, I do real estate, I do this, I do that. If I put this into a house, I'll make this. If I put this into this, shit coin, it'll 100x, like whatever it is. And I look at my business and I put $1,500 in. And of that $1,500, I've like put it in and just reinvested it over and over and over again. And obviously, we're taking money out for income, but that's turned into over $2 million that I've written on my own pen in the last 4 years. And that's not including overrides. That's not including the agency side of things. So it's wild. And that's also not including chargebacks. Like, we're just going to be totally transparent here. So at the end of the day, that's like 1,000x just on my own personal pen, from what we put in, which is wild. Now, obviously, I reinvested. Like, so
Sheesh.
we're not going to, but like of the original money that we put
Right.
in, it's been able to produce that much revenue. So,
And Jamie, really quick on that note, let's say now that you know what you know, and obviously you took a gamble and you wish that you knew that going into your first week doing that, and Grady straight talked to you. How would you have that conversation now with the new Jamie Chirio getting into that week, knowing, okay, I don't have much, but trust me, trust that process. How are you having that now?
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, you got a couple of different options. You either got time or you got money. That was what Grady told me in the beginning. You got the time money pendulum. When you're a brand new agent, a lot of the times you got a lot of time and not a lot of money. And when you start making money in this business, you got more money. Therefore, your time becomes a little bit more valuable. So the way that I look at it with the time money pendulum is like, okay, if I don't have a lot of money, I need to spend more time dialing the leads that I do have, trying to squeeze every single drop out of them. So if you're on here and like you dialed through your leads once and you don't got a lot of money, like that's not it. Like that's not going to do it. Like, I'm talking when I first got started, it was, we had our dial trackers, and it had 250 little boxes on it that you could check off. And if I didn't hit 250 dials for the day, or if I didn't hit 10, 15 appointments, whatever it was, like I wasn't done. I had some days where I was doing 400 or 500, 1,000 dials. And this was when we were hand dialing. This is when we had no phone burner, no power dialers, no wave dialer. I could name like 100 different dialers that are out there right now. We have it so easy. There are literally dialers out there that will dial the phone on 3 leads at the same time now. We were hand dialing. I was typing in every single one of these to my iPhone, going through a spreadsheet, having stacks of pieces of paper all around me, and dialing from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and hitting a lead, triple dial. I was afraid of that. So that was something I'll throw out there as well. So like people who are afraid to triple dial, I was afraid to triple dial. And Grady goes, okay, you're afraid to triple dial. How about you call this lead 7 times in a row? I was like, what do you mean 7? Like that's twice as much to triple dial. Are you crazy? He's like, dude, just do it. Call this lead 7 times just to get over the fear of triple dialing. And I started doing that. So like now I like call people 4 times in a row. So when people say triple dial, I quadruple dial. But I had like a couple of experiences in my first year where I called people back. Like if they wouldn't let me get out my first 3 sentences of who I was and why I was calling, if they just like weren't giving me the time of day, like I wanted to get like hey, you filled this out and this is what you were looking for or something different. And if they, in a lot of the times, if you get to that point, they're like, yeah, that's what I was looking for. But like if people wouldn't let me get to that point, like they're just like not interested and they'd hang up, I would call people back like 100 times in a row. Like, if you think I'm exaggerating, I wish I could like, bring a couple people from our dial room who were here with me in the beginning onto the call. Like Josh Lockhart's a great example. He could back up a couple of these stories and know that I'm not exaggerating. Called the guy back 23 times in a row. Every time that he answered, he called me a different piece of profanity. Like anything you can imagine. This was like rated R, whatever's above rated R. He's calling me these names. And I'm just like, I'm laughing about it because I'm like, you know what? We're gonna learn today. And I've got an audience, so I'm like, let's just see what happens. Like, this is fun. And finally, I got the first 3 sentences out. And he's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, I thought you were the car warranty guy. I need that. I need the mortgage protection. I don't just have 1 house, I have 3 houses. Can you come over tomorrow? And it ended up being like a $10,000 sale. And I called this dude back 23 times in a row. So it taught me pretty quickly that these people who are not interested, like at one point, they filled out a lead. They filled out a lead. So whether you're dialing internet leads, social media mortgage leads, social media IUL leads, they're a year old, they're 1 year old, 1 minute old. I have brand new leads that like literally we generate some of our own leads on Facebook. And I'm talking like the lead came in 30 seconds ago and I send them a text and I call them and they're like, not interested. Like that happens. But like at the end of the day, like I remember dialing internet leads and you call up somebody and they say they're not interested. And it's like, well, what are you not interested in? Because at the end of the day, what they're not interested in is they're not interested in getting their phone blown up by a telemarketer. So that's the biggest thing. You have to figure out how are you going to be the anti-telemarketer. I had to learn that really, really early on. I'm the anti-telemarketer. I'm different than everybody else. I'm going to have a totally different, tone and pace in my voice. And I'm going to be a little bit more bold and a little bit less of like the dog with the tail between his legs. So I thought that was a really big deal. Like when we would do live dials, especially, I remember before I started doing live dials, people would be like, not interested. I already got it taken care of. And I'd be like, okay, thanks. Have a good day. And like when I was muted, nobody saw that. So like I was by myself in my room, I was on screen, muted, and no one could hear that. And then Grady was like, dude, unmute. And when I unmuted, I'm like, oh, everyone's watching. And if everyone's watching, like I don't like looking bad in front of people. So like I always, that's a whole nother thing, so I was like, I'm going to try. If people are watching, I'm going to try. So then when I started trying, like this is the weirdest phenomenon in the world. When you start trying to overcome objections, you'll eventually start overcoming objections. The problem is most people, like they're too weak on the phones and like people giving them objection and like you're looking for layups. Like that's the thing is like, stop looking for layups. The hardest people to book are the best clients. The biggest assholes have the biggest pocketbooks. Like they do. And they're also the hardest to cancel. If you book the person who's just a total ass and like, sorry for my language, if but at the end of the day, if you book that person and you sell that person, they will be a client for life. And there is no way anybody's coming behind you and they're like, no, Diego's my agent. Like Diego fought for this. Diego got my trust. I don't
That's
trust
good.
anyone, but Diego got my trust. So I'm, no, you're not coming in, even if it's $50 a month cheaper. You ain't coming in because Diego's worth $50 because I trust him. So you just got to understand, people on the other side of the phone, they don't trust you. They don't know you, especially moving into telesales. Nobody knows who you are. They don't trust you. So like, how can you be that person? And I don't have like the perfect script for that, but it's like that's the mindset that you have to have going into talking to every single one of these leads. They're a real person. And if they filled out anything that's been sold multiple times, their phone is blowing up. It's blowing up. So you have to be sensitive to, or maybe they filled out something and they got sold as an aged lead. And so it's like you got to be sensitive to the fact that like they're getting blown up by different people trying to sell them insurance. And how can you be the person who's different than everyone else? So I learned that stuff pretty early on. And that was just a game changer for me. And it
Yeah.
allowed me to start booking more appointments with people who normally wouldn't get booked. And
Right.
that was the game changer for my business.
No, that is fire. That mindset is honestly, it just reminds me of being new and the exact mindset that you have to have. And I love how connected you are to that, because I feel like that is like, you don't even need good leads at all when you have that mindset. You don't even need to really invest money, because you could go and door knock people and have it taken care of,
You could. I don't recommend door knocking and just trying to sell random insurance to people in the
a
Walmart
hundred,
parking lot. That's hard.
a
If
hundred
you're
percent.
doing that and you're good at that, I'm not good at that. Like that's not for me. I don't think I could get random people to buy from me. But if you filled out something, I can be like, hey, like at some point this was important to you. And yes, I
Yeah.
totally understand that people are blowing up your phone. Yes, I understand it's super annoying to talk to all the telemarketers. Yep, I understand you already got it. Like all the things, but like, hey, I'm still gonna help you. Like that's got to be the
Right.
mind.
And now, Jamie, for you coming from other industries, that was one of the questions actually Desi asked, and I had it written down. What made you get extra confident in this business? And now, as you establish your business, you've already had something like this before. I can see maybe you're like, man, I have to grow an even bigger business. And it's something maybe you think of in the back of your head. But what about this one now makes you not go, well, what does solar have, or what does, security have? You know, what do you
Totally.
find here?
Yeah, 100%. And I'll be, when I go through this, I'll be totally honest. Like every industry has pros and cons. There is stuff that I hate about the insurance industry, the life insurance industry. Like there's stuff that I just cannot stand about what we do. But there's a lot of stuff that I love about what we do. And I look back at other businesses and the things that I had to go through, and I just pros and cons. Like I've never seen a business where if you take it seriously and you become a professional and you get good at what you do, where like you can have the success that you have, number one. Number two, like I've had a lot of businesses taken away from me, things that were totally out of my control. So first business, there was some crazy marketing ruling that happened way high up at the FTC, and our company happened to be the biggest and the loudest, so they decided to make an example of us. That stuff happens. That stuff could happen to the insurance industry. It did happen to us a couple years ago. That's why we say families help now. The stuff out of your control can absolutely happen, but like what I love about the insurance business is like, dude, Mutual of Omaha been here well over 100 years. National Life Group over 100 years. Some of these IMOs, like even if God forbid something ever happened, like they just get swallowed up by a bigger IMO. Like all of these insurance companies, they've survived world wars, pandemics. They grew during the pandemic, which is wild when everyone else was going backwards. So it's like the insurance industry isn't going anywhere. So I love that. And even if like, FFL is the biggest, and if somehow there's a target on our back and we weren't here, we'd all still be okay. We all have the insurance industry. So like I looked at the industry first. And then obviously, like I want to be in a place I can plant my flag. That's like the best in the industry for sure. But I looked at the industry, and when I got into the industry, Grady Polson's dad, Glenn Polson. A lot of people haven't met Glenn, but Glenn is my first mentor. When I was 18 years old, Grady was more of like a friend. Like Grady and I are like 8-9 years apart, and one of my oldest friends of all time. Grady's dad was my mentor, and he mentored me through my first sales career, introduced me to personal development, all the stuff. And the whole time that he was, mentoring us in that other business, he had a financial services business. He was the top IUL person at Columbus Life as a career agent for like 10 years. Had no idea. He never even talked to us about it. But that was like his business and how he made all of his money. And then he has network marketing business on the side. And when we got into FFL and when I finally, joined up, he called me. He was like, dude, welcome to the most honorable profession on the planet. Like, what do you mean the most honorable profession on the planet? He goes, at the end of someone's life, everyone else is saying, gimme, gimme, gimme. You owe us this, you owe us that. You're the only person reaching back with the check. And at the time I was like, that's pretty cool, but like, I don't know what you mean. He's like, wait till you get your first death claim. And I've had dozens now, dozens and dozens. And I know like people talk about this and it's cheesy, but like when you have those things happen, like it is reality shaking. If you, especially if you have one with someone that you like built a relationship with, like I'll never forget my first death claim. And it's just one of those things where you realize what we're doing is important. So like I sold a lot of things. I've sold all kinds of health and wellness products. I sold travel products. A lot of the things that I sold in the past, marketing services, it's a luxury. You don't need it. Like, it's an absolute luxury. I was convincing you why you should buy a luxury. And I was really good at convincing people. Like I remember many times getting done with the sales presentation and like feeling like, oh yeah, I sold the shit out of that lady. Like I really twisted her arm. Like as bad as that sounds, like my ego was like, oh, I did that. Like that was cool. Like sales is manipulative. It absolutely can be. Like if you learn sales, you can do it absolutely the wrong way. And I got into insurance and I don't think I've ever felt that way. I've had plenty of tough conversations. I've had plenty of clients cancel, plenty of clients say, I didn't realize what we were doing, all the things. But like, I knew that I was having a conversation with somebody about something that was important, something that mattered, something that was good for their family. We established the why they needed it. And I knew that it was a good financial decision for them. And obviously, I've learned over time, I've become more mature as an agent. Of course, you can kind of twist someone's arm to spend an extra $100 when they can't really afford it. Like that's all stuff that we've, a lot of us have done. But it's like you learn how to help someone really figure out what's in their budget, what's best for them. And it's always a good financial decision for your family as long as you're not taking food off their table to get
Right.
insurance, to take care of their family in the future, to leave a legacy. And then especially moving into IUL, like IUL is just a whole nother level of like, yes, you absolutely need this. Like we need to make sure that you're not paying taxes in the future, retirement, you don't live beyond your money, like all the different things. So it's like, I've never sold something other than this where I like was so convicted that people needed it, number one. And then obviously we are grossly overpaid for what we do. We are grossly overpaid. Like it's actually stupid to be able to get on the phone with someone for 30 minutes and sell them an $83 a month policy and walk away with $750. It's
Yeah.
actually stupid. And with that comes the responsibility of the fact that, yeah, 30% of people cancel their policy and we have chargebacks. To be able to make this much money that fast, there's no way it's all just pros. Like, yeah, chargebacks can absolutely be a con. But if you just are aware of it up front and you're not just like avoiding it, like, oh, yeah, chargebacks don't exist. Like, it's fine. Like, let's not talk about it. I talk about chargebacks in recruiting. Like, I want to talk about everything up front. We've got a video, called What's the Best Business Ever? It's our recruiting video. It's great. And we love it. We talk about all the sunshine and rainbows of the insurance industry. I have a video that's twice as long called Why Not to Join FFL, where we talk about chargebacks, roll up debt. We talk about how two agents can go and sell 250 grand in a year, and one of them can put 100 grand in a savings account, and the other one can be 100 grand in debt. We talk about that stuff. Literally, at the beginning of the video, it starts out with like a big like trigger warning, like we're trying to get you to not join this business, and that's something we've implemented here in just the last year. So I want people to know up front, this is the most amazing industry on the planet, high risk, high reward. But if you treat it like a business, that's the thing, is the people who've gone into bad situations, they didn't treat it like a business. And the only reason why I came in and I'm so passionate about teaching people how to treat it like a real business is because I've been in such a world of financial hurt in other businesses. And I've almost put myself in a world of financial hurt, even in this business. I did all the right things. I put money in the savings account. I saved for taxes, but I overhired on staff. I overbought on recruiting leads, spent way more on marketing than I need. Like I've done a lot of things in this business trying to make it grow. And I've learned a lesson. I've learned lots of lessons, but like we have to treat it like a business, and we have to learn how to not increase our lifestyle too quickly with the money that we make. Like learning how to build the skill set first is obviously the most important thing that you can do. Learning how to sell insurance, learn how to help 20 families in a month. If you learn how to help 20 families every single month, you have unlocked the key to freedom. And the only reason that you're not helping more families is because you're either afraid to spend more money on leads or you're not willing to do as many appointments. Like that's it. Those are the only, like if you can help 20, Like, honestly, like Desi, helping 23 families in a month is fantastic, but like you're so much better than 23 families in a month. Like you're easily a 70 family a month person, like easily if you just doubled your lead spend. Like doubled your lead spend, doubled your appointments, you're easily 70 families a month. So it's like there's not really that much of a difference. Like, yeah, there's experience. Yeah, someone maybe has done, 10,000 appointments and you've only done 100. Like, yeah, that stuff definitely play closing ratio, but like all that stuff comes with doing the appointments. So it's like I don't recommend ever, like if Desi's brand new and it's her first month and she goes and helps 23 families her first month, I'm not going to say, hey, like let's go spend $10,000 on leads next month. No, you have to work your way up to it. It's like you have to figure out kind of what your regular is. Like, okay, every time I spend $500 a week on leads, this is what happens. The next, maybe I'm going to spend 600 this time, maybe 700. I'm not saying go drop $5,000 on leads and bankrupt yourself, but like at the end of the day, if you have more people to talk to, you get more leads. And if you get to the point where you're helping 20 families a month, you can help as many families a month as you want to. The next level after, final expense mortgage protection, where you have to like learn a little bit, and this is the season that I'm in right now, is I've learned how to help people with simplified issue life insurance. Now I want to master the IUL, annuity, and simplified retirement solutions. That's, my goal is to try to master that. And there's a lot of stuff that I've had to go back to the drawing board on, stuff where I've had to humble myself and, learn some new things or slow down for a second, stop selling as much so that I can learn a new skill, learn some new word tracks, learn about taxes, learn about retirement, IRAs, 401ks, all these different things, different accounts and how they work. And, that's how I go to the next level. So, kind of where I'll kind of, close it before we, open for any questions is you have to evolve in this business. Like when I look back, when I first got started, I was an in-home final expense agent. Now I haven't dialed the phone in 6 months. I have 40 to 50, sometimes 60 appointments a week. I've got automations, text, dialers, and it's almost 100% IUL. So that's a total difference. But like, what happened in the middle? I went final expense in home to a mixture of final expense and mortgage protection in home to 100% mortgage in home to, okay, now we all do telesales. So I'm going to do mortgage protection via telesales. That was a really hard transition for me. My entire team was virtual before I was. We looked at the leaderboard of 25 and, I was, near the top of the leaderboard, but 24 of the 25 people in the top 25 were all virtual. And I was the only one in the field. So I was a late adopter to telesales. I've been very resistant to change. When it was move on from final expense leads to mortgage protection, I was afraid. When it was, hey, these new internet leads things came out, I was afraid because I was getting good at what I was doing. When it was, let's do telesales, I was afraid. When it was, all right, let's move from, that to we're going to do exclusively telesales and we're going to do it with IULs, I was afraid. When it was, I'm going to hire a dialer for the first time, I was the last person in the world. I have training videos. People could go back on YouTube and be like, this entire video, you talked about why to never get a dialer and how you'd only ever dial your own leads. I was afraid of change. You have to evolve in this business. So my lead flow has evolved. The type of policies that I'm selling have evolved. My systems and automations to go from paper to spreadsheets to CRMs, to go from hand dialing to power dialing to having a dialer and texting and having automations go out, from, buying all of our own leads to generating all of our own leads. Like you have to evolve in this business. You have to be willing to continue to grow. And along the whole way, your ROI has to grow too. So my first year in the business, I started in July, and from July to December, we helped 178 families. It was great. My first full year in the business, we helped 420. On those 420 families, or 420, we're just going to give numbers, 420,000 annual premium, my first full year in the business. I had 550 ballpark individual insurance applications. So I was grinding. That was like $600 sale after $600 sale, sometimes a $2,000 sale. But like I was putting in a lot of high app count to get there. The following year, I did 550 AP and I did it on like 380 applications. So my average premium per home went up my second full year. My third year, I think I did 450. And 450 I did on like 220 appointment or 220 clients. So it's like that year my average premium went way up. So every single year my average premium per home has gone up like a crazy amount because I'm evolving too. Like I'm not just the same agent that I was when I first got started. So, the type of leads, your closing ratio should go up. If you still have the same closing ratio from a year ago, like you're not evolving, you're not getting better. Like this whole business is about getting better. If you're not getting better, you're you're going backwards. So you just have to understand, like, if you want to evolve in this business. So like I've also been, last thing I'll say is I've also been the person who kind of wore, the badge of honor of I'm the hardest worker on the entire team. Well, guess what? You can only do that for so long when you have a family. Then your family is like, hey, I miss you. Like, where you been? And it's like figuring out how to build a sustainable business. And when I say sustainable business, like sustainable for like a legit lifestyle with your family, like to the point where I used to work 6 days a week, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., missed everything, like everything. Did that up until probably about a year ago. Then shit started to hit the fan. Things started getting really hard. We've got 2 kids. They haven't slept. I haven't slept in 3 years. My wife had a bunch of stuff that she was healing from. And then guess what happened? I started to get all messed up, physically, mentally. It started to affect my business, started to affect all kinds of things. So I had to figure out, how can I do the same amount of production in less time? That's like been my latest evolution, is taking time in my schedule for my family, where I was like, oh no, if I give up part of my Saturday, right now, Wednesday nights are our family night. Friday night, we have a date night. Every Saturday morning, my wife and I go get coffee. My fear was, there's no way I'm going to be able to run more, I'm going to miss out on like 30 appointments if I do that. I have to start hitting the phone at 8 a.m. every day. And yes, when you're brand new and you're learning a skill, you do. But like once you've learned the skill, once you start to get really good at it, that's when you have the right, like you have to earn the right to actually build your own schedule. So like if you haven't figured this out, you don't have the right to build your own schedule. You are an employee of your business. If you don't work tomorrow, you should fire yourself. But like once you've proven discipline for a handful of years, like then you can start like saying, you know what, I'm going to be home for breakfast every day. That's like the latest thing. Before it was like I'm out of the house before everyone wakes up. Now our newest thing is we go on a family walk every single morning and we do breakfast with the family. Then I go do my thing. Then I go take care of myself, and I don't take my first appointment until 10 a.m. It took me 4 years to get to that point where I felt confident enough that I could do that, plus have 3 nights that I don't work late. I used to work late every single night. But guess what? I only have 3 days a week that I can work late. So 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. those days. And I'm still running 40 appointments a week, every half hour. I also got better, faster. Like I went from it taking me an hour and a half on an appointment to most of my appointments, first call, take 15, 20 minutes, reschedule the next one. And, some of these IUL big ones maybe take, an hour to do the application and the illustration, but most of my appointments are 15 to 20 minutes now, scheduled on 30 minutes. So on Monday, I had 23 appointments back to back to back every single half hour. And probably half of them no-showed me, but still, I had 23 appointments. I had 23 swings, got to get on the phone, talk to 10, 12 people. And, I was like, oh, how is that even possible? Because a year ago, if you would have told me you're going to do breakfast with your kids, you're going to be there for bedtime 3 nights a week, and you're going to spend some time with your wife, I would have said, you're crazy. There's no way I could do production. But it's like, you get better in this business. You get more efficient, create systems. Like, so it's just all these things, like you're not going to figure it out day one. It's taken me a really long time to get here. I'm still not even close to where I want to be, but I just, I don't want to burn out in this business. I'm not trying to be divorced at the end of this journey. Why did I get in this business in the first place? This was like the biggest gut punch I had about 6 months ago. I sat down with a guy named Dan Chernati. If you guys don't know him, look him up.
Yeah.
Dan is like crushing it in IUL. And he's like, dude, why'd you get in business in the first place? And I was like, I don't know. He goes, you got in business to have time freedom, didn't you? I was like, shit, you're right. I did. He goes, you haven't had any time freedom the last couple of years. Then Alex Morton at the Ignite conference goes, everyone in this room is rich. You all make a lot of money and have no time. And that just like hit me like in the gut so hard. I was like, you're so right. So like, how do we create leverage in this business? Learn how to decrease chargebacks, like all the things, create automation, learn how to sell bigger premiums with higher persistency. Like this is how you get your time back. You go from doing 20 applications in a week to right now I'm doing like 5 individual applications a week and submitting more than I submitted when I was doing 15 applications a week. Does that make sense, Diego?
Oh yeah. No, that was great, Jamie. I appreciate you pouring into us for sure. Now, one question I want to kind of bring into, and then maybe take on a question from, I know we had a couple questions, but going into convention, going into convention, are you telling your people to go to convention? What do you feel the power of that is? I always see you there.
I am always there. I definitely, I hate missing events. I've missed one convention and it was for the birth of a child. So that's excusable. I told my wife that we would never try to conceive a child 9 months out from convention again. And we're pregnant again right now, and it's due. This baby's due like the first or second week of January. So I went back on my word, and it's like right around convention again. So that'll be fun to see. So everyone cross your
That's
fingers and
awesome.
pray that baby comes before convention this time, so I don't have to miss another one. But yeah, I mean, at the
Let's drop a
convention is one of the best
congratulations in
things.
the chat.
I
Let's drop a
appreciate that.
congrats to baby Chirio.
Yes, number three. So,
Number 3.
convention is probably one of my favorite events because it's especially if you're part-time, it's a weekend where you can be full-time. So if you're part-time and you fly out to Dallas, you're leaving everything behind. You know, if you bring your spouse, fantastic. But like, and I hope you do, if you have a spouse, you should, because they need to buy into this business. But like, you're leaving your job behind, you're leaving all the other worries, everything behind. And you get to like, if you're part-time for the first time, be like all in for 3-4 days. So I think that's a big deal. And then just getting to surround yourself with other people. And probably the reason that I always think that events are powerful is you see other people, and I get mad at every convention. And what I mean by that is I see other people and go, oh, if that person can do it, what's wrong with me? Why am I not doing it? And like everyone gets motivated for different reasons, but like that's me. And maybe that's my ego. But I'm like, oh, that person's totally normal. They're not like, yeah, they're nothing special. If they can do it, I can do it. And it's like you hear two types of stories at convention. You hear the if they can do it, I can do it story, which is like the underdog story. You go, I can do it too. That's the first story. The second story that you hear is if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. So what I mean by that is you hear the person who was a successful real estate investor who dropped everything to be in the insurance industry. You hear about someone who was in medical school who said, nope, this is the thing for me. You hear someone who was a former professional athlete who says, nope, I'm going to do insurance. You hear these stories of people who had already other successful companies, businesses, and they go, nope, this is the opportunity. So like, it just helps you buy in. It builds belief. You know, of course you hear the motivation, you know, maybe it builds some belief in yourself, but belief in the company and belief in the industry. That's what convention can really do. So you bring someone to an event, I always say they're either going to be all in or all out by the time that they leave. They're either going to come to the event and say, I'm not going to be doing insurance when I come home, or they're going to say, I'm going to make a career out of this. So it's like the
Yeah.
ultimate sorter of people, is if you just get them there, the people who are going to go all in are going to go all in. And most people make their big decisions at conventions.
Big time. No, and I totally agree with that too. Now, Makai, do you want to unmute and then ask your question? That way Jamie can really hear you.
Yeah.
But that's huge, guys, what Jamie just said. And I think that every person that I've brought to the convention, like Jamie said, when they leave and they're with our company, it was crazy cool when I heard Desi say, dude, this changed my life. And then now I'm seeing her really like change her life completely. It just really pivots you. And it's so true. Makai, could you ask that question though? I feel like it'd be better if Jamie heard it from you.
Yeah, hi. Basically my question was, sorry, I wrote it down. I know you said you went through a lot of hard times financially and a lot of things didn't go your way. So basically my question was like, how did you keep your conviction when you were starting at FFL, especially when you had every reason to want to give up?
Yeah. Okay. So what did you do before you came here, Makai?
I worked at a coffee shop.
You worked at a coffee shop. What's the most you've ever made in a month here with FFL?
The most I made in a month here,
Yeah.
8,000,
What's the most you ever made in a month at the coffee shop?
like maybe 2,500.
Okay. I've got a little card right here. This was when I did my integrity deal. This was like the little nameplate that was at the office. And Sean had us write down the date and he was like, write down the amount of money that you made the year before you came here. So I wrote down I was bankrupt in 2017. I made $19,000 the year before I found insurance. Don't forget where you came from. And I signed it. And I keep this on my desk. So I just think about what else would I be doing? Like, that's what I think about all the time, is like, what else would I be doing? I guess I could go do solar in South Carolina. No offense, solar. I think solar is a great industry, but I do not want to knock doors in South Carolina. South Carolina is the armpit of the South and it's hot and humid. I do not want to do that. I could go sell cars, not for me. Sold a lot of different things. I could go back and get a job. That's fine. But like, once you like taste the freedom of like making $2,000 in 30 minutes, yeah, I get it. There's chargebacks. Yes, I get it's hard. Yes, I get you have to reinvest into your business, all the things. Like the only thing that could like quench like whatever that feeling is that you get, it's kind of like a high. Like it's like a little like I don't drink or smoke, but like I sell insurance and like that gives me my dopamine hit. So like that's kind of my you know secret addiction is getting that dopamine hit from helping a family. And yeah, the only other place you get it is another sales opportunity. And I still haven't found a better one. So for me, I just think of where else would I be? What else would I be doing? And yes, it's hard, but if I learn this skill set, like I can set myself up forever. And then it's like you have like a confidence that take everything from me right now. I really hope in me saying this, you know, I'm not humbled for saying it, but if you take everything from me right now and just left me with $1,000 and said, go buy some leads. Yeah, I don't really want to spend another 4 years getting back to where we are, but if I had to, I would. If it came to like your family's going to be out on the street and all you have is $1,000, I'd figure it out because I have a skill set now and no one can take that from me.
Powerful.
Thank you.
That was great, Jamie. Well, that's an hour, guys. And honestly, if you guys follow Jamie on Instagram, I would give him a huge shout out because it's already 8 p.m. his time. He really doesn't have to do it at all. We're not in any way really connected other than this is what we do in FFL. I mean, I said, hey, man, you want to help out what we have going on? And honestly, I know Jamie, the way I see business too is like he's helping my family. Like me and Megan are getting helped here. And I feel like it's so awesome how you can build those connections. So that's why I would encourage you guys. I met Jamie at a convention, and this connection's been honestly, it's been my like fourth and going into my fifth year. Like I seen Jamie go from just being a guy down in Oregon where I was like, how is he getting like 20, 30 sales per month? And so I would, if you don't follow him, then I would start following him, give him a thank you on there as well. Anything you guys need from me, I'll see you guys next month. And just to recap, that is going to be next month. I'm going to announce the winner of the top 3 out of anybody that's not done 15K yet and that has been on this this call. And so I'm super pumped. If you're just getting your numbers, you're literally right there in the running. I mean, last month that winner literally just had to do 8,000 and they would have gotten $500 in leads. It's never like talked about, honestly. And I feel super excited about being able to do that. And so let's run, guys. If you need anything, give me a call. Jamie, I appreciate you so much, brother. Thank you.
Absolutely. Megan, make Diego and you come visit Greenville. We'll see you soon. Bye, guys.
I know. We'll see you soon. I still would love to. Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, Jamie.
No problem. See you guys.